youth versus plastic because that is our topic and today's National Youth Day. Right now, we all know that plastic is everywhere. We found microplastics in blood, we found these plastics floating in oceans, from Mount Everest to deep down into the ocean.
Young people, as I have said, are not waiting for us to be telling them what to do. They are taking action. 26 million people have taken actions,
Wow.
pro-planet actions, and out of these, 10 million were actually by young people on reducing the usage of single-use plastic.
Hello and welcome to this series of Podcast versus Plastics brought to you by Earth Day Network India. I am Rumit Walia, your host for this insightful journey into a world free from plastic pollution. As we align with this year's Earth Day theme, Planet versus Plastics, get ready for engaging discussions, expert insights, and a deep dive into the intersections where our lives meet the challenge of plastics. We have gathered a group of experts, activists, and changemakers to explore the multifaceted aspects of planet versus plastics. Our first episode in this series is Youth versus Plastic on the National Youth Day. So get ready for a thought provoking conversation and get ideas on how you can become a change maker and solve the plastic pollution problem. So, welcome to Podcast versus Plastics, where we challenge perspectives and seek sustainable solutions for a healthier planet and a healthy you. For our first episode on youth versus plastics, we have with us Ms. Dhuwarakha Sriram, who is the chief of YuWaah Generation Unlimited at UNICEF India, and she's going to shed light on how youth plays a very crucial role in fighting the problem of plastic pollution in our world. But before we dive in, here's a quick reminder. The views expressed here are for general informational purposes, and we encourage you to do your own research. We're here to spark ideas, inspire change, and navigate the complexities of plastic pollution. Hi everyone, welcome to Podcast versus Plastic, and we have with us Ms. Dhuwarakha Sriram, who is the chief of Generation Unlimited YuWaah from UNICEF. You might have heard this term YuWaah. So we'll start with you, Ms. Dhuwarakha. Why don't you introduce yourself and your role at YuWaah?
Thank you, Rumit. Hello, everyone, and happy National Youth Day. I'm Dwarka Sriram, the Chief of Generation Unlimited called YuWaah in India, Youth Development and Partnerships with UNICEF India. The UNICEF incubated Generation Unlimited was launched in 2018 UN General Assembly as a public-private youth partnership, uniting global leaders, heads of state, CEOs, UN agency heads, and youth champions to co-create and deliver innovative solutions. And GenU now operates in more than 89 countries. YuWaah, the India chapter, was established in 2019 and is a front runner within GenU countries, catalyzing learning, 21st century skills, employment, entrepreneurship, and leadership opportunities with and for young people.
That's wonderful. And for people who don't know YuWaah is a Hindi term like for youth, and YuWaah is YU, and they keep the W capital. So just point that out. So it's YuWaah. You can search that online. And as Ms. Dwarka mentioned, how intersectionally into the environment they are working with. But today we are going to talk about youth versus plastic because that is our topic, and today is National Youth Day. And youth is at the center stage at many places in the world. But Ms. Dwarka, I would like to ask you that right now we all know that plastic is everywhere. I mean, every part of the nation and every part of the globe is filled with plastic. It's literally a menace for us. All the livelihoods, it doesn't depend on how economically strong one person is. It affects everyone. We found microplastics in blood, we found these plastics floating in oceans. From Mount Everest to deep down into the ocean, plastic is everywhere. So why do you think that the world is still lagging behind in fighting this plastic pollution, because it's right in front of us? And what youth can do, because that is about their future now.
I think this is a very pertinent question, Gurmeet. And the struggle against plastic pollution persists globally. And global plastic production quadrupled in 40 years, while India has a low per capita consumption of 13 kilograms as compared to global average of 28 kilograms. A recent report by the Central Pollution Control Board says that in India alone, around 4.1 million tons of plastic waste annually, out of which only 12% is recycled.
Oh
Now,
God.
despite attempts, substantial volumes of plastic waste persist in jeopardizing our ecosystems, food chains, as you talked about, the biodiversity and the environment, particularly our oceans, rivers, and lakes. I think we all know young people for the longest time have been at the forefront of social change, hemming many movements successfully due to their grassroots embeddedness and capacity to innovate and overturn adverse social norms and mindsets. I think importantly, young people can play an involvement in advocacy, in community cleanups, promoting sustainable practices and alternatives to plastics, especially in the circular economy, can also significantly impact the plastic reduction. So, encouraging youth led initiatives in India have led to the reduction of plastic bag usage by 80% in some regions. And with increased education, we believe that with proactive measures, young individuals can drive substantial change in curbing the plastic pollution.
As very rightly you mentioned, and how alternative finding alternatives to plastics and then doing cleanups, community services projects, and also I believe to connect with their local leaders, somehow this collaborative effort can actually curb this plastic problem. So what are those strategies that you particularly find that will be impactful and that will be very effective if those can be replicated everywhere in the world, like you might have done at UA, and then it can be very easy and in a streamline to curb this plastic problem, because major part is the production of plastic, it keeps on increasing, and then recycling is very low. So are there any specific initiatives, specific strategies, specific ways or flow of doing things that you think that would be really helpful for other organizations apart from UNICEF to adopt and then implement into the real world?
I think, Rumit, young people, as I have said, are not waiting for us to be telling them what to do. They are taking actions, and whether they're small or big, that's contributing towards that changes that we're wanting to see in the world. I think the young people that we have been working with um, actually are leading by example, and they have embraced the sustainable and zero waste lifestyles, recognizing the consequences of polluting behaviors. So they have championed the reduction of plastic usage. They have mobilized organizations at the community level as well as at the national level in terms of diminishing the plastic footprint, and then also, promoted and advocated for plastic-free lifestyle in just the day-to-day experiences of young people, but also in the larger work that they do as well in terms of any ceremonies and celebrations that they have. And we worked with the government on an application called Merry Life. And this was to help promote not only young people, but also others, citizens across the country, to take effective actions and providing them information as well as what are the different initiatives that they can use on a day to day basis, and how citizens are taking pro-planet activities and actions. In India, we were able to work with MOACC and mobilize more than 77 ministries across all states and union territories in India, and more than 26 million people have taken actions,
Wow.
pro-planet actions. And out of these, 10 million were actually by young people. And most of it was actually focused on reducing the usage of single use plastic. Maybe just one example on a young climate leader, Ms. Mahia Kulsum, who was selected and endorsed by YuWaah and supported by Minister of Environment, Forest and Climate Change to attend the COP28 last year. She is a zero waste practitioner and represented her grassroots initiatives, which has significantly impacted her local community at COP28. So I think young people are setting and being an inspiring example for us. I think it's also important to bring in various stakeholders, including the government, who are already taking a substantial amount of initiatives, but also partners like private sector, industry aggregators, to take those collective actions and how we can really move towards, plastic reduction.
That is wonderful. I, in fact, know Maya myself personally. I've met her, and this is it's amazing when we share stories from youth that is actually leading the zero waste practices and less waste methods to implement into this real world. I saw the pictures of UNICEF and UVA sending these people from India to COP and becoming the climate champions and becoming the ambassadors for Earth. So how did that work out, and are there any other stories from other parts of the nation that you think that really are solving this plastic pollution problem?
I think the privilege and opportunity I have with my work is that I meet really inspiring young leaders who are taking actions on a day-to-day basis. And last year, we had again the honor to work with all these young leaders who have came across from more than 20 states in India as part of the ELCOI process. And from there, we selected four of them to attend the COP28. Now, I think it was a great opportunity for them to showcase their work, but it was also an excellent opportunity for them to, you know, voice not only the amazing work that they're doing on ground, but also the fact that how can different stakeholders come together to support the actions that they're taking and how we can really do better. So it has been an amazing journey for us. And apart from, the ELCOI cohort of young leaders, we also work with the UN India YuWaah advocates. There are six of them who come from very diverse background, and they actually show a remarkable grassroots leadership to fight against the plastic pollution. I can talk about Siraj, who has established the Pajan Foundation and initiated a project dedicated to the restoration of the polluted Ganga River. Over 8 weeks, the
Oh,
campaign successfully gathered over 4,500 kilograms of waste from two ghats. And really, this endeavor has motivated and activated other youth and government bodies to prioritize environmental investments, particularly aligning with the SDG goals of 13, 14, and 15, aiming to enhance environmental sustainability. Another champion has been Mansi Thakur, who is a tide turner plastic champion with UNEP. She embarked on her environmental journey through local environment conservation club in a coastal town of Gujarat. And over the past 2 years, the club, spanning more than 200 members, has diligently conducted beach cleanups. And Mansi and her club members have dedicated efforts to lead the return of the Gangetic dolphins and supported the hatching of eggs previously hindered by the coastal plastic pollution. So, engaging local communities, she has established a waste management system with the forest department, aiding beach cleanliness and recycling initiatives. I think Mansi's ongoing commitments involves eradicating plastics, addressing, the ghost fishing gear, and promoting eco-friendly practices during the Green Ganesh Visrajan.
that is wonderful how one youth only can engage the local communities, the governmental communities, the organizations, and the volunteers, the colleges, schools, everywhere. That is the energy the youth have nowadays, and that is why we believe at Earth the Network India also we have these rising stars who are very young in age and who are doing spectacular work to fight plastic pollution. Not just plastic pollution, I mean every environmental concern that we have on the planet, from I mean oceans to these wetlands and then mangroves and everything. I mean everything is distorted as of now. So when we talk about how youth is taking the responsibility, it also shows that they are very committed to the cause. But on the other side, which is my next question to you, a lot of youth, which I have also personally experienced, are in this competitive mode nowadays, that my organization has to be a leading one doing these, and then several individuals also try to focus on the initiative that are only showing the impact out in the world, not actually working on the ground. So they tend not to work on those societies and move towards the one which has broader outreach of showcasing their work. What will be your take on this competitive mode, rather than we all need to be collaboratively working on this one cause of saving our planet and our health?
I think, Rumit, you can see both sides of it. It can be healthy competition as well. Um, One of the major issues has been in terms of environment related challenges. It needs to be, the initiatives that we do have to be consistent, and they also need to be collaborative efforts as well. While every single person on earth can take those actions, how can we work with each other to make that more amplified? So, to phase out plastics, I think there's a crucial need for innovative ideas and solutions. And working with young people to share those innovative approaches and transformative ideas can be instrumental in overcoming some of these hurdles and fostering a more effective response to the pollution. Most of the initiatives that we have, as you have rightly pointed out as well, they tend to operate in isolation and fail to achieve that scale and amplification. And they lack that concerted effort towards youth led advocacy and systemic change. And this is something that we really want to work towards, having that collective impact to address the plastic pollution effectively. I think the important thing is there's amazing set of activities that are happening. They tend to be siloed. How can we be more of an enabler and bring all this ecosystem of partners together to take those actions together?
That is wonderful how organizations like YuWaah and several other organizations, including Earth Day Network, act as a bridge to fill that gap that they are lacking between. So I'll tell you about this one initiative that Earth Day Network India have. It's called My Future, My Voice Ambassadors. And these people are across the countries. I believe we have in more than 100 countries now, around more than 200 people who are doing advocacy. They are climate activists. They are doing innovations. I mean, there's a guy in US who recycles batteries, and these are very young people. So the recognition is very important. One have, or let's say, if I am to join YuVa as a volunteer or as a youth advocate, how do I go about it?
So just to add that YuWaah is part of the UN system as well. So we have presence across India, but also as I had mentioned, it's Generation Unlimited in India. So Generation Unlimited globally has presence in more than 89 countries. So if you're part of this initiative, then you also have exposure and possibility to engage at a global level across many other countries that we operate in as well. But also how your voice can be used to advocate for other action that can be taken by stakeholders like the government, private sector, and the UN as well. So there are different ways of how you can move from individual actions to community level to advocacy space as well as amplification among India, but also global channels as well.
Lastly, one thing that I would really would like to know about you is two questions actually. One is, how has been your experience working with all these youth? If you have to just combine it in one sentence or two, what would you say? And the second would be, what will be your message now? Because even everybody is not concerned about this problem of plastic, which we see a pile of mountains in Delhi. I mean, there are three landfill sites in Delhi which are increasing day by day. What would be your message for all the youth out there in India, or let's say in the globe, that you all need to work on it right now, act on it right now?
I think a quote that would answer both questions would be in terms of be the change you want to see. And I believe, that change doesn't have to be transformational tomorrow, but it can be starting with small steps that you're taking towards it well. Second, I think then you start looking at what's happening around you. Is there, plastic wastage that are there in your home, in your community? Can you take those small actions about cleaning up? Can you get other your friends and for me, the most inspiring fact is that young leaders are taking those actions already. Now we want more and more of those young leaders doing that, and how we can collectivize that actions as well as what we are trying to do towards with YuWaah.
All right, and that's a wrap with our questions. So thank you so much, Ms. Dwarka, for joining us.
Thank you. Thanks for the opportunity.
All right. As we wrap up this episode of the series Podcast versus Plastics, I want to thank our incredible guest for joining us and sharing her expertise and perspectives on our topic, youth versus plastics. Let's keep this conversation alive. Connect with us on social media and share. Let us know what topic you'd like us to cover in the next episodes. Because in the end, every day is Earth Day and every act counts. Thank you for joining us in this journey to end plastic pollution. I am Rumit Walia, your host, signing off from Podcast versus Plastics. Until next time, keep it green, keep it clean, and remember, Earth Day's 2024 theme is Planet versus Plastics, and every day is Earth Day.